Is he going to be eliminated by his teammate?
It is so close.
Oh, he sent that in with some speed, didn't he?
Boy, that was close.
Did not see that one coming. Mitch Evans versus Sam Bird. The Kiwi versus the Brit. They've faced off once before. Evans won that one. This is going to be an interesting fight. There's a lot going on in this intra-team rivalry at Jaguar TCS Racing. And this duel is going to be fascinating. Now remember, Sam Bird does have a 5-place grid drop for hitting Evans in Hyderabad, but that won't be applied until the end of the session.
Yeah, so he wants to get as high up the order as he can and then take the +5 there. So very strong first sector for Mitch Evans, 22.6. That's a good start to his lap. We'll see as Bird comes out of turn 3 now and heads towards this 4-5 chicane. Evans is going through the bottom of our screen and Bird is down by 0.07 of a second in that early part of the lap. Watch the box to the bottom right and he gets a good run, but didn't quite get the curb as well as he would have liked, I think. For the left-hand part of the chicane, Evans 27.8 middle sector, that's also strong. So he's really throwing down the gauntlet here for his teammate.
The gap goes up to almost 0.2 of a second. We'll get another look after this right-hander that Bird's coming through now at turn 7. The gap grows again, 0.2 of a second in Evans' advantage at the moment. Through the final corner comes Mitch Evans. It's neat and tidy. Bird's closing the gap though. Evans does an 11.8. That's a rapid lap time from Mitch Evans. Bird now towards the final corner. The 90-degree right-hander on the power across the line. Evans is through. It's Mitch Evans that progresses, but Bird is the fastest loser in the quarterfinals. So that means that he will qualify 5th, which will put him 10th on the grid. Right, quarterfinal number 1, Cassidy versus Buemi. You guys on the predictor reckon that Cass has got this one? Right, we have taken Cassidy back in time a little bit to sync them up. So this is side-by-side on board, Buemi on the right, Cassidy on the left. And Buemi gained a lot of time on Cassidy through that first corner.
Yeah, he did. He was much tighter in 0.1 of a second, 0.17 of a second, as he was able just to roll more speed through that centre point of the corner. Now it's 0.3 of a second because the momentum's just built all the way back down the back straight in towards turn 6.
Cassidy quick down that straight. Now they come towards turn 7. We'll get a little look here. It goes to 1/4 of a second. Will there be much difference or a fight from Cassidy on the wheel? Another sector split coming up here. Cass is closing in a little into the hairpin of turn 9. Or maybe, wow, Buemi went in deep, but that means a sort of sooner on the power. Up towards the final corner, Buemi's advantage now up to almost 0.3 of a second. Out towards the line, Cassidy, remember, is the 3rd place man in the championship, but is he going to be eliminated by his teammate? Oh, he is, but only by 0.08. Huge final sector for Cassidy, but it's not quite enough. Sebastian Buemi advances through to the semi-finals. Quarterfinal 4. Here we go. Who's going to come out on top today?
They're too close, these two. They're far too close for me to have a feeling on it, because both of them, if they just put the lap together and don't make a mistake, they'll do identical lap times. It's the question for me is who takes that little bit extra risk on the braking and going into a corner without actually making a mistake.
Sylvain Philippe watching. Whatever happens, he's got a car in the semi-finals. But which one will it be? There's only 200ths between them at the moment. This is, the way you can tell them apart, by the way, is Cassidy has the yellow flash on the top of the roll hoop. So this is Cassidy we're watching at the moment, because they're both in the same car with Red Bull sponsored helmets. So it's a real joy, but it's that yellow flash on the top. Cassidy into the hairpin, wide, and didn't really get it back in, and Buemi's gained 0.3 on him. Buemi, these aren't synced up, but they're just coming into the hairpin now, and Cassidy is coming out of the final corner. Buemi goes in deep, but then comes back and clips the apex nicely. Will this be a big jump in Buemi's favour across the line? Cassidy does an 18.7.
It's not a brilliant lap time. Gives it to Buemi if Buemi can get a nice acceleration out the last corner.
Buemi drives towards the line. There's a little under 0.2 between them at the moment. Oh, it's Cassidy! Cassidy gets through by 0.05. Did not see that one coming. Right, time for the final. Müller versus Frijns. Predict a vote. Says 55% Robin Frijns. What can Nico Müller do? As he comes across the line, it's him versus his teammate for pole position.
Big snap of oversteer as Nico Müller crosses one of the white lines coming into the first corner. Gets it sorted out though. Nice and gentle on the throttle. Again, that little bit onto the throttle and a little kick between turn 1 and 2.
Müller through the first sector. Robin Frijns coming through now. Similar ages, Frijns 31 from Maastricht. Müller 30 from Thun in Switzerland. And there's just 200s between them. They've always been pretty evenly matched whenever they've raced together. Teammates in DTM, I think, in the past. Frijns has been a little bit slower this weekend. Oh, but now he's up by a quarter of a second. And that's the reaction from the crowd. And now it's up by 0.4 of a second, Robin Frijns. He's flying. Müller down into the hairpin at turn 9. Closes the gap in a little bit. We've seen him strong through turn 9 all the time. Thomas Buemi smiling whatever happens. Frijns, the gap's almost half a second now. Müller through the final corner. Drives towards the line. And he's going to set the benchmark. 1 minute 19.380. But Frijns is over half a second up. He's coming into the final corner now. Out of turn 10. Robin Frijns looking for his second pole position in his Formula E career. And he's got it, and he's smashed it. And now, here is the previously promised all-Nissan fight. Right, here come the Nissans. Nato up the hill. He's the first driver on track. Second is Fenestraz. As he comes into Sander Vaught. Oh, he sent that in with some speed, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely less tidy than Norman Nato, but the question is it quicker? Looks at, well, half a tenth quicker just now. You see it on the left of your screen too.
Every Monaco E-Prix has been won from the top 4 on the grid. So these drivers that are through to the semi-final duels have got a real shot. Fenestraz is gapping Nato now to just over 1/10 of a second. In qualifying head-to-heads this year, Nato, Fenestraz is 5-3 up. But it's getting closer. 600s between them as Nato comes into back.
600s, think about what you've just said, it is so close.
Throwing it through the swimming pool. This is nice stuff from Nato. I'm really enjoying watching him drive here. 500s now, the gap between them. It's coming down. Whee! Bit of a slide on the rear, and Fenestraz has gained a bit of time in the middle sector. Nato across the line. Does a 29.2. Fenestraz on the power towards Anthony Noakes. And he's got almost 0.4 of a second here on Norman Nato. Across the line comes Fenestraz. It's a 28.7.
That is rapid. That is.
I think that's the quickest time we've seen in these duels.
Yeah, I believe it is, Jack.
Last pole for Stoffel Vandoorne was the Sao Paulo race this year. Jean-Eric Vergne, actually, funnily enough, his last pole, Jean-Eric Vergne, was here in Jakarta a year ago.
They've been driving around in 300 kilowatt mode all through the group stages. Now they've got an extra 50 kilowatts. And that means you arrive at that first braking zone just a little bit faster. So picking that first braking point is always a challenge.
It is. Vergne's keeping it pretty smooth so far. On the bottom right, you can see how Vandoorne is doing, and we've got a comparison in terms as they go through the various sectors here as to who's up and who's down. So at the moment, it is Vergne who has got the very slight advantage. Both are very experienced drivers, of course. Both are champions in Formula E.
Yeah, this is the strongest lineup, really, you'd have to say, on the grid. And thus far, no real obvious mistakes. Unbelievably close on the lap time comparison. Just 38 thousandths between them, but it's swung the other way by 39 thousandths now with Vandoorne ahead. So it is just super close between them.
Well, let's see how this all works out. It is a fantastic fight between Jean-Eric Verne and Stoffel Vandoorne. Nothing really to choose between them, as you can see, 0.076, 0.082. With the moment, it's Verne. So he sets the pace at a 1 minute 8.5. Now it's this final sector for Stoffel Vandoorne catching. He's almost on exactly the same lap time. Which one is going to go through to the semi-final? We'll find out as Stoffel Vandoorne goes over the line. Oh, and it's Verne who just holds on in the end. And look at the smiles there. Oliver Turvey looking pretty happy about that, whoever wins. But Jean-Eric Verne does take the victory in the first of the quarterfinals up against his teammate. But boy, that was close. And now we've got another team battle. Max Günther and Edo Mortara. And the predictor vote going very much for Max Günther. Mortara is the first on track, setting the pace. So remember, he didn't get to do free practice earlier on today properly because he made contact with the wall and might make him a bit more careful, whereas Günther's been on it all the time.
Yeah, he's unbeaten so far in this weekend. And Mortara, big slide there into 7. So I expect to see that time comparison swing by quite some margin by the time Günther gets to turn 7 as the team watches on. You can see in the bottom right box there as Mortara now heading up towards the turn 13 hairpin. Gets the nose in. He doesn't seem to have lost that much time to go. Oh, no, there it is. The half second. I was sort of waiting, but Günther's clearly just got to turn 7. Right. I wonder if they'll get on the radio to Günther here and just say, look, you're a long way ahead. Just close the lap out, because he could be pretty safe and still end up ahead of Mortara now.
No need to take risk, I don't think. Mortara's done slightly, well, yeah, but we haven't seen Günther into the second part yet. So let's just wait and see. A 1 minute 8.7. I think we're going to see Max Günther going faster than that. There's no doubt about it. As long as he doesn't make a big mistake, come out of the corner, don't hit the wall or the outside. Yep, no, he's all driving this beautifully under control. It's a 1 minute 8.4, and sure enough, it is Max Günther who has taken it through. Second semi-final is already on. It's between the two Maseratis. It's Edo Mortara you're watching right now, but it's his teammate, Max Günther, who has been dominant in these qualifying runs, free practices, whatever, in setting the fastest laps. But we have seen Mortara picking it up a bit more today. So I think this is going to be a pretty close battle. We shall find out very, very soon, Karim.
7,000s between them in the early part of the lap. Mortara now coming through into turns 10 and 11. Bit of understeer there that put him wide, and then he had a snap as he got on the dust. So that's hurt him in the middle part of the lap bend. Now nearly a 10th and a half down. Yeah,
and there's no doubt that Günther once again is getting it together. He really works well with this lap. Again, you can see a little flick, a little bit more movement on Mortara's car. It's usually very smooth with Max Günther you're looking at now, and the gap is coming up.
Yeah, nearly 2 tenths there as Günther turned into the hairpin at 13. Mortara comes up to set the benchmark of an 8.443. I don't think that's going to be enough.
No, it's looking good for Max Günther to take it through to the final once again. And we could end up with exactly the same final that we had yesterday. Max Günther is about to come over the line. Yeah, he's done it. He's done a 108.101. And he is through to the final with another opportunity to take pole position.
There they are at the end of the pit lane, the two Nissans, ready to rock and roll in this semi-final.
Down into the chicane. This is where we have seen the errors.
He's in a little bit wide there, missed apex slightly, didn't get to the curb on the right-hand side. So I think it's not been an ideal start to lap for Norman Nato.
16.6 seconds at that sector there. Let's just have a quick look at what Fenestraz is doing there, and it's going to be really 16.5, so he's quicker at that point. Fenestraz up by 0.167. So you're looking at Nato on the main screen. You're looking at Fenestraz on the on-board here. They're in different parts of the track, but it's Fenestraz that's definitely got the advantage.
Yeah, Fenestraz neat and tidy. He's getting to the apexes. It doesn't look quick. It looks slow, but actually is quick as Nato's Müllering the curbs in the final chicane, bouncing it around, trying to catch up, probably for that mistake at the first corner. As Nato comes over the line, he gets a little bit, he's close to the wall, but you see Fenestraz neat and tidy. Nato crosses the line.
109.264. Not the fastest that we've seen, that's for sure. And Fenestraz, I think, has got a bit more pace again, sliding out of that last corner, having to correct, but he was full on it, and I think there's every chance to do it. Yeah, he's in the 8s, 108.920. Sasha Fenestraz has made it into the final.
Dream scenario to have both cars, and you know, at worst, it's a front row lockout here for Jaguar. Sam Bird begins his flying lap, looking okay through the first couple of corners. I reckon it's going to be pretty close, this one, between the two teammates, and Bird has proven to get some really good performances out of this Jaguar when he's been under pressure so far here in Rome. But is he going to be enough to overhaul teammate Mitch Evans, who again has just been on another level so far this weekend? Free practice 2 this morning, he was 0.6 of a second quicker than the rest of the field, and now it's crunch time in quali.
Yeah, Evans slightly nicer down through 3 and into 2 and into 3 as he now comes to turn 4. But Bird is actually putting in a very good first sector. A 24-7, a 24-3 is the first sector, and it looks pretty much nip and tuck between the two of them as we speak.
So then through in towards the middle sector, the drivers head now, looking here at Sam Bird as they head down. So that's Mitch Evans into the left-hander. And look at that, Bird's had a mistake somewhere along the line because he's dropped 1.2 seconds to his teammates. So that has gifted Mitch Evans pole position on a platter, unless he in turn makes a mistake. We didn't see what happened there for Sam Bird, but something clearly has gone wrong on this. His only flying lap, and well, that is Christmas come early for Mitch Evans, clean side of the grid and pole position seemingly here.
Yeah, it was a big difference in that middle sector, 1 second difference. As Bird looks as if he's struggling to get to the apex. It looks a little bit like we had with Dennis and Co earlier on, where it just wasn't necessarily as hooked up as what it could have been.
Playing devil's advocate, it could come down to tactics here between the Jaguars. Are they working together and trying to get Mitch Evans over to the clean side of the grid? Bird goes for a 40.985. What is Mitch Evans' time going to be? Significantly faster, I can assure you of that, through the final series of corners. Jaguars here fighting for the title. Mitch Evans very much in contention, will do himself no harm at all. Slides his way out of the final corner, comes across the line. It's a 39 flat. It's enough for his second pole position of the 2023 season. It's a Jaguar TCS Racing front row lockout. Well, if you're James Barkley, I would be chewing your fingernails right now. 2 of your Jaguar Racing drivers. Bit of a snap of oversteer into T1 there.
Yeah, it was a little bit of, I'd say, instability in the rear, a little bit of a push from Evans, though. He knows that he's still got to try and attack, because this is a run for him to actually find out what the balance of the car is under 350 kilowatts, and it's a preparation for anything that could come in ahead.
Just going to say, that would be exactly the same here for Sam Bird. Of course, bear in mind that car is completely new here today as well, given the fact that it was in about 6 or 7 pieces by the time it came back to the paddock.
6 or 7 or 67?
Well, no, yeah, exactly. It was a bit of an aeroplane crash, wasn't it? There was so much carbon fibre littered over the course of the circuit, but as we said, all drivers emerging from that one okay. So Bird with the initial advantage in the first sector, but you can imagine that Evans is going to quite easily be able to claw this back.
Yeah, but Bird's just extended his advantage, so everything that we've said, clearly Sam's not listening, and he's extended his advantage 1.5 tenths.
Well, let's see what is going to happen then here. Could we be on for an upset, or is Bird going to play the team game and back it off? Slightly wide there, maybe on the exit of 13. What about Mitch Evans as he comes through there? A little bit tidier for the Kiwi.
Equal in the middle sector between the two of them, exactly. And so they're just 0.5 tenth apart now as Sam comes through the chicane, drops down to the right-hander before the obelisk.
Yeah, so in towards this middle sector of the lap, probably the most distinctive part of this Rome circuit. Nothing to split these two Jaguar drivers, and a bit of pitching and rolling there for Bird as he comes through.
Yeah, rear of the car not hanging on quite as much as he'd want as he accelerates out over the line.
Yeah, that's Evans actually, of course, coming over the timeline. 137.9 for him. What is teammate Sam Bird going to do as he threads his way through the final series of corners? Evans now with a 0.2 of a second advantage over his teammate. No surprise at all that we're going to see Mitch Evans progressing through, and Bird there backing right off.
He lifted massively there.
Yep.
And he was 0.6 slower over the final sector, so Sam Bird clearly making sure that his teammate went through.
So now we've got the 2 Envision cars of Nick Cassidy and Sebastian Buemi as I said earlier on, you would imagine that team tactics are going to come into play here, that Buemi would have been told to back off at some particular point to let Cassidy go through in that fight for pole position.
You cannot. If the team do that, I think they're absolutely within the right to do it. It's what the smart. It's a smart play, isn't it? And then they'll go fight this afternoon. But Sebastian Buemi, right now, his job is to help keep his teammate Nick Cassidy in championship contention and win the team's championship for Envision.
Well, believe it or not, it's actually only the first time we've seen both Envisions in the semi-finals in the same race in 2023. Buemi about 600ths of a second up over Nick Cassidy at the moment. And as they come through in towards turn 16, Buemi's car looking pretty good through there as it stands for, sorry, Cassidy's car, I should say, looking pretty good through there for now.
Oh, Buemi's gone off, and I wonder if that was maybe the
team tactics that's coming into play there, perhaps, or whether maybe it was a genuine mistake there for Sebastian Buemi. Either way, it's handed the gauntlet here on a platter to Nick Cassidy. Comes around turn number 20, goes to the timing line. He's going to easily finish ahead of of Sebastian Buemi.
Yeah, Buemi's making sure here that he's being not very subtle about it, as he should. It's, you know, that's the team game, and that's if I was Sylvain Philippe, that's the game I would play right now. Absolutely right.
He's probably getting around this circuit faster than I'd be able to get one of these Formula E cars around here. Sebastian Buemi then around turn 20. So it will be Nick Cassidy that progresses forwards from the semi-finals into the finals then. So we're going to have Mitch Evans versus Nick Cassidy, an all-Kiwi fight for pole position.